we've been hearing a lot about the Cello Festival happening. Classic 107 very proud to be a sponsor of the festival, which is why I'm very happy to tell you that my final guest this morning is a very accomplished cellist that has come to perform a concert this afternoon geared towards children's music. So please welcome Danish cellist Jon Ehde. Did I pronounce it right?
That's fine.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
We're on the webcam. So we're recording this. We'll say hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, Jon, how long was the flight to Winnipeg?
17 hours.
Oh, boy. Yeah. That's a long way to come. Well, I appreciate you coming. So tell me about, first of all, tell me a bit about yourself and your performance history.
Right. I'm actually Swedish, but I live in Denmark since many years, in Copenhagen. I perform a lot as a soloist and chamber musician, mainly in the contemporary field, actually. But also lots of other stuff, and I play with jazz musicians, and going to do the Copenhagen Jazz Festival when I come back home.
Nice.
Do some experimental stuff with the cello. I enjoy that very much. And when I'm not playing, I'm teaching. I'm teaching at the academy in Malmö, and Malmö is Sweden. You know, we have this very neat bridge now between Copenhagen and Malmö. It takes you half an hour to get over.
Oh, like for real? Like
from
an
Denmark to
actual
Sweden. Yeah,
wow.
just 10 years ago. So it takes me half an hour with the car to go to Sweden and to teach my students there every week. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It is.
I need to get out there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was asking Julie Eresh, who is here, a very simple question, and I'm sure you get asked this a lot. Why the cello?
Yeah, that's the quite usual question you get, yes, when you're supposed to talk about yourself. We had lots of music in my family. My mom was a very gifted pianist, and my dad, I think, is the greatest music lover I know. So somehow it had to be music in some way or another. And when I was around, I think, 8 or 9 years old, my best friend in the Malmö boys choir, the son of the conductor, he played the cello. And I tried his cello, and I still remember the day and the feeling when I tried his cello and plucked the strings, the open strings for the first time. That was an amazing feeling, and I felt immediately that I want to play this instrument.
And you've never looked back since?
Not really. I had a few years when I think I played more soccer and land hockey than cello. It has to be, I think, when you're growing up. But I never really, I never stopped really. So no, it's become a big part of my life. Yeah.
Well, when I was hosting a concert yesterday afternoon, the Mellow Cello concert, and I told the audience, and really my favorite classical instrument is the cello, and it is my fantasy to play the cello. Maybe one day I will take it up.
Oh, it's never too late.
It is never too late. I just think it's just the most beautiful instrument. It just speaks to you. It's a sexy instrument. It's Paul Marlene said it sounds like a human voice.
Right.
I mean, it reverberates. It's.
I feel like I'm a singer when I play cello. I really like singing. You know, my greatest idols they are not really cellists. They are singers. You know,
like who?
Jussi Björling and Domingo and Birgit Nilsson. Try to copy the way they project the sound and the vibrato and the phrasings and everything. Right. It's wonderful. The legato. Yeah.
Now you're going to be performing right after this. You're going to be at the Forks, and we'll talk a bit about that a little bit later. But at 4:00 or 4:30 this afternoon, you're going to be doing a very special children's concert called "The Enchanting Cello" at the University of Winnipeg in Convocation Hall. Tell me about this concert.
Yeah, actually, one of my gimmicks has become to perform classical music for children since quite a few years ago. I've mainly done it as in front of different symphony orchestras in Denmark and Sweden, where I present the music in an entertaining way, and I most of the time also conduct the orchestra, and I play solos on the cello, and I do some surprising visual happenings also to keep the children attentive throughout. So that's become very successful. And I lately decided to translate these quite ambitious projects with the symphony orchestra down to a minimum of a cello, some few props, and a CD recorder where I can play some music sometimes.
Nice.
Show examples and whatever I do. So I have this one-man show, you can say, that I travel a little bit with. And I feel it's very important to try to attract the kids into classical music, because there's so much you can get there.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, since I've been working at this station, I have a 7-year-old at home, and it delights me when I hear her humming classical music pieces, and it's because she's been listening, and it's getting in there, and it's wonderful.
Great.
Now, you've brought your cello for us today.
That's right.
Would you be able to play something that you're going to play at the concert this afternoon?
Sure, I can make a few examples. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let you grab the cello, and as Jan does this, I'll tell you that it's 14 minutes after 11 here in Winnipeg. Taking a quick look at temperatures right now, we're sitting at 23 degrees, looking for a high of 27. A mix of sun and cloud, although the sun is shining brightly here in Winnipeg. A 30% chance of showers this afternoon with a risk of a thunderstorm, but we'll see. Maybe that will not come to fruition. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I think, Jan, you are set up here.
Yeah, I am, kind of.
Do you need an A?
Okay. Sorry.
Sarah can sing it. Sarah can sing the A.
I don't have perfect pitch.
Okay. Anyways, one thing I'm going to emphasize in the concert today for the kids is that maybe the greatest composer for music for cello was Johann Sebastian Bach. And I'm going to play one example out of the treasure we have, the 6 suites, and that's I'll give you a short excerpt here of the Bourrée in C major.
Okay.
By Bach.
That was beautiful. Nicely done. Tell me about your cello, Jan.
Yeah, most cellists, they put a pride in playing on old instruments. The older and the more expensive, the better. I do have an old instrument at home as well, but I very often enjoy playing this quite new instrument. It's built in 1980 by a quite famous violin maker or cello bass maker from southern Germany called Benedict Lang, who lived in a very cozy village up in the mountains there in Bayern. And it's built in 1980, and it's got a kind of reddish, orangey color with some very neat carvings that you noticed straight. I picked it up. Yes,
So unique.
out in the sides on the borders here. And it's got the open, free sound, and it's easy to play. And that's the benefit of new instruments. They're often very easy to handle.
Now, is this the only cello that you have?
No, I have another 2 cellos at home, yeah.
Wow. It's a beautiful instrument.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and it sounds fantastic. And it is nice to see a cellist playing something new, because you often, you hear the stories of these, very, very old, very expensive cellos that people play.
When I studied in Vienna, the somewhat arrogant cellists of the Vienna Philharmonic, they all play old instruments. When they saw me coming with this new one, knowing I was Swedish, they said, "Oh, there he is with his IKEA cello."
No! Snap.
Laughing.
Please tell me you had a very witty remark back to him.
Oh yes, we compared our cellos, and he had to agree that mine projected at least as good as his old one. So
very good.
That was 1-1 there.
Jon, thank you so much for coming to Classic 107. It's been a real pleasure meeting you. Before you go, as I mentioned, you are going to be heading from here to the Forks, where you're performing.
That's right.
A solo concert there.
Yeah.
And you're going to be performing some new music. And you've very generously brought us some CDs of your music, and so I've got it all queued up here. So do you want to tell us tell us a bit what you're going to be performing at the Forks, and then you can introduce the piece of music that we're going to hear, which is you are going to be performing this particular piece there as well as some new stuff. So I'm just going to stop talking, and you tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah, I enjoy very much working with the composers of today, the Beethovens and Mozarts of today, and be part of the composing process, and it's like you can affect the future of music when you work with the composers, and try to create new possibilities, new sounds, new ways of using the cello to get the message across. And I worked with many of the foremost Danish composers, and the piece I'm going to play this afternoon at the Forks is by composer Kim Helvig. And it's quite an interesting piece where you actually need, you don't need to, but it's a benefit if you're around to look at the cellist when he's playing, because there are also some visual elements included. The piece is called Movements, and the word movements is double. It both means the different parts of the music as well as physical movements. So there are some physical movements included also in the piece, like turning the cello around its own axle and using the bow as a whip in the air to create whipping noises, all written down, of course. And
very cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool piece. Yeah.
Nice.
So
and then on top of the new pieces, you'll also be playing some pieces from some tried and true composers.
Yeah.
Like
The Swan by Camille Saint-Saëns. That's one of my favorites, actually.
How come?
It's such a beautiful tune. It really is. I love playing it, and I play it in all sorts of versions and many different kinds of concerts, and particularly I enjoy playing it with guitar. I have a colleague friend at home who I play a lot of concert with, who is a great Danish guitar player, Jens Bang Rasmussen, and that's one of our highlights, to play this one.
Well, from the CD that features Jon and Jens, it's called Nordic Colors, some music for cello and guitar, by many composers, including Fauré, Bach, Sibelius, some Grieg, Schubert, and, of course, Camille Saint-Saëns. So we're going to hear the opening track from that CD, which is The Swan, right here on Classic 107. Jon, thank you so much. A pleasure meeting you.
Thanks. It's great to be here.